process has been working with the different carriers, and this is pretty much standard all the way across the industry. And so we just wanted to have Will come in and just talk about what he normally does, how he helps us as aggregators put the systems together, provide us with everything that we need from documentation, and then just assisting us with everything that goes into getting a product from the paper to the web. And so they've been really great over the years. We sell a lot of their products, IMGs, Patriot, and the ITI travel products as well. And so one of the things, this is a new process for us and Will, but previously we were always having a process of getting products in, making updates, and just doing regular maintenance. So one of the things I wanted to touch on today was just what do we do in terms of if we just get the documentation. So one of the things I did, Will, as I have all of the IMG API documentation, I went through all of this with them. We have videos on this of how the process works. What do you got to do in terms of testing? So the first thing out the gate was just getting credentials and just showing that the schema and things are working, because you guys used to be on a SOAP protocol. You've now moved over to a REST. So it gives us a different feel of how we were structuring our back end and quoting and then doing the purchase. So without, just knowing what to do, one of the things I walked them through is just the documentation of, what you're going to be looking for, looking at the change logs. We went through all of that. We went through how you're going to connect. And then just yesterday, I was able to take them into Postman and run a quote and then run purchases. So we did that yesterday. What I'm gonna be doing for Mike is building a collection for him so that he'll be able to test and run his credentials as well. So we went through a lot. This was a lot of stuff since we've been recording every day and meeting about it. So one of the things I wanted to tell him was about, getting credentials. We don't always get new credentials all the time. So we pretty much just get them, we use them for the products, and then some of our products have been dormant for a while. You usually like to renew that stuff, but pretty much it's all standard, defaulted for us so that we don't have to jump around and make a lot of changes. So I wanted to see if you could talk about that and just, just your overall experience there. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to Will.
Okay.
And I'm sorry, Will, real quick, I'm sorry. I did lock the meeting now, but Michael Schreiber did just join us, and he's the Director of Architecture here at Senior Market Sales. So, Michael.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to meet you, Will. Thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Okay.
So, the one good thing is I'm kind of your one-stop shop for anything that you need when you're implementing. And then if I don't know the answer, because my technical knowledge is limited, so if it's something I can't figure out, then I'd be your liaison to our IT department to get things sorted out. So that'll make it easy that I come to me as your first point of contact. So a couple of things. I know that, and Ty, correct me if I'm wrong, but the iTravel insured products are currently on the SOAP API. Correct. And they are not, if I'm not mistaken, they're not turned back on yet from after our outage.
Correct.
So we can, and I don't know what your timeline is or what your intent is with those, but we can go ahead and get those turned back on in SOAP. But as you see, we do have the iTravel insured products on the REST API now also. Now, with that being said, our plan is to deprecate the SOAP API in about a year from now. So at some point between now and then, we'll want you to get onto the REST API for the iTravel insured products. We're also making some changes to our admin system where we're going to be administering the products. So I would recommend using SOAP until after this June, which is when we plan to make that transition, because I'm going to have to make changes to that existing REST API documentation. Some minor tweaks. Essentially what we're doing is we're using the same endpoint that we're using for the travel medical products, the IMG travel medical products, and we're merging the iTravel products into that already existing REST API that you're already using for the travel medical products. So it's not going to be that hard of a transition once we do that in June. Does that make sense? But
Yeah, makes
I feel
sense.
like I was talking in circles, so I want to make sure. So after June, but before probably a year from June, we'll want to be sure we're on that REST API for the iTravel insured products. Okay. I think what the first thing we would need to do is I should probably get you all links to this documentation so you have it. I think currently I only have it available to your email address.
Yeah.
So if after this everyone can send me their email addresses, I can get everyone set up with equal access to that.
Okay. That will work, definitely. Because we actually, I put them in Mike's folder, so all the documentation from the iTravel as well as the IMG is there as well. So
okay.
We have that.
And the importance of the links is that it's always going to be it's the living document. So it's always going to be the most up to date as opposed to, accessing a local copy that might be outdated. So I'll get everyone set up with those links.
Okay, that would work. Because I think I demonstrated that the other day. We just go out. I showed them how we go out. Have the email send us a code. We enter that code, and then we have access to the documentation. Yep. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, Will, is about the carrier testing process. I did it with Bailey. What we were doing was we would get the quoting working and test the quotes, and then we would test the purchase. Can you talk a little bit about how your involvement with that is going to be in terms of testing, how you like to test? What's the process there for that?
The quick answer is we don't really have a formal process.
Right.
but it would be me assisting you with testing, and I
Right.
would run through it as well. If it's, I would get Wendy involved. Does everyone know Wendy Stahl?
They're not familiar with this. I mean, that would be Dan Drennan. He usually works with the sales. She's the sales manager. Fine.
Okay.
He would normally work with, she would normally work with Dan.
Okay. So she's kind of the ITI expert, the iTravel insured expert. So
Right.
she knows that. So I would get her involved if need be to help with testing of that. Okay. But again, it's going to be me as your kind of one-stop shop for
Okay.
anything that you need with that. And then we would coordinate that. And if I need to get approvals internally here at IMG, I would do that, or I can if I'm confident enough to give you that approval. So.
Okay. And then in terms of, like a lot of times I was telling them that everything is in the documentation that you put in there. And my experience, I've only experienced just very minimal things we're having to get with IT. But how would you like us to handle those errors? Do you like screenshots so we'll be able to show you? What's the process there that you would like for us to, like, if we find an error?
The biggest thing that always helps me is to have the payload. If you can
Okay.
send me a copy of the payload that's producing the error, that is the easiest thing for me.
Okay, so we'll get the payload, just make sure we get you the parameters so you can just backtrack that.
Right, because it's a lot of times I can look at it and I can pinpoint, without even having to run it through. So yeah, that's always the most helpful thing for me.
Okay, and so what I did was we're actually, the new credentials that you sent over, we're going to document that. It looked like we'll probably have to change them again. how easy is that to update credentials?
It shouldn't be difficult. I mean, it's just going to set up a new account. That what that does is it just gives you access to the token.
Yeah.
And so it would just be a matter of setting up a new account essentially. So that's not a big deal.
Okay.
Just I would need to know. Well, let me backtrack a little bit. It's a lot easier for the REST API. For the SOAP, I don't know that we'll need to change that because I believe that's tied to the producer number, which won't change.
Okay. Right.
Now, if we need to regenerate a password, that's fine, but the username would stay the same.
Okay.
For the REST API, that's simple. Just you need to send me what you want the new username, which would be an email address to be, and we can generate a new account for that.
Okay. That will work, definitely. Because I know we've done that with the products, and so we're hoping to get those back, you know, the iTravel, because we were doing very well with that. And Dan really wants to get that product back working again. So does anybody have any questions for Will?
I don't.